guy in the NBA should ever wear 23. I've been working on that shot my whole life, and for that one to go in, that was liberating right there, man.
And I'm not shoving it aside, like it don't mean anything. I know it's important. I do. I honestly do. But we talking about
23 Shots of JD podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back to the 23 Shots of JD podcast. I was going to say how you going, but it's a bit of a one-way relationship here, isn't it? I thought I'd start off the podcast maybe a bit differently. Obviously, I've been sort of alluding to a lot of announcements in previous episodes, talking about how there may be some things changing, and I thought I'd just address them now. There's a few interesting things that are going to change, but holistically, just ensure that you still be getting some great podcasts and all that stuff. So it's not like I'm completely disappearing or anything like that. It'll just be just some cool changes, some interesting changes, but probably some stressful changes on myself as well. But so essentially next week I'm going to be traveling to Asia. I'll be traveling around all of Asia for about 6 weeks. I'm pretty sure around 6 weeks. So obviously questions probably arose when I made the trip and stuff like that, going how am I going to record a podcast, how am I going to do all this stuff, things like that. And I really do want to document a lot of stuff in Asia, through the podcast and stuff like that, like my experiences, maybe people I'll run into who have interesting stories, because going to a lot of hostels and stuff. So I think it obviously provides a pretty interesting opportunity for myself to really explore Asia and try and bring that type of knowledge onto the podcast and stuff like that. So I definitely have intentions of trying to do some podcasts in Asia, and that's specifically talking about Asia as a whole, maybe my experiences at airports, or how maybe I'm doing a hike and maybe just want to talk about that, or maybe just some interesting stuff or stories that happen in Asia. Like I said, it'll be 6 weeks, so I don't know if I'll do one every city or one every country, or maybe I'll do multiple country. I really don't know. It really depends how sort of everything materializes over there. But overall, I thought it would just be interesting to add that as well. And I guess obviously, again, questions are probably going to arise in regards to how I'm going to keep doing sort of the NBA podcast. And I hopefully will try and continue that as well, coinciding with the Asian podcast. Obviously, I don't know what type of access they have to not only the internet, but just, NBA games and stuff like that. I guess, if there's a stable internet connection, I could try and keep myself updated and stuff. But, I'm not going to try and make it sound like I know everything when I'm in Asia, because obviously I'm probably going to miss some stuff, things that I probably miss if, I wasn't here sort of just looking and trying to study and trying to make some notes and stuff for the podcast. But like I said, I will try and make the NBA podcast. I should add with both podcasts, the Asia Trip podcast and the NBA podcast, I'm not entirely sure yet how often I'll be able to post, or if I'll even be able to post again, question. I'm going to some pretty random places as well in Asia, so I don't know again how logistically it's going to work, but I'm going to try my best to try and keep posting, or at least keep you updated on my Twitter at 23 Shots of JD and stuff like that. But because there's two coinciding podcasts, I'm looking to maybe upload two podcasts a week. Obviously, the NBA podcast is going to stay relatively consistent throughout, week by week. Hopefully, like I say, can do that throughout the Asia trip. Keep going week by week, try and keep you guys updated and stuff like that. But obviously, with the addition of the Asia podcast that I'm hoping and aiming to do, we'll see sort of how that materializes. But what I'm looking at right now is that I'm hoping to post the Asia Trip podcast. Don't know how many there's going to be, obviously, but hopefully post the Asia Trip podcast sort of diary, I guess you could also say diary, journey, expedition, whatever you want to call it, I guess. I sound like Christopher Columbus or some shit. But obviously, I'll try and post that every Tuesday. I'm not going to guarantee this coming Tuesday. And all this time's in Australian Eastern Standard Time. So if you're an American listener, just think when I say Tuesday, it's Monday. So basically, whatever day I say, it'll just basically be the previous day for you guys. Or I think it's probably similar to the UK to some extent as well. So, yeah. So about to confuse it. It's probably easier for me just to say Australian Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, so I'm aiming to post the Asia Trip podcast every Tuesday. But like I said, I'm not guaranteeing that I'll be able to post it this coming Tuesday. But definitely the Tuesday after next, hopefully there'll be a podcast. If not, there could be a Tuesday podcast, Tuesday Asia Diary podcast coming up as well. Also, I don't have a good name for the Asia Trip podcast. I've been trying to brainstorm some names. I don't know, like Asian Adventures, or, you know, I want to try and come up with something witty, so, you know, at least it's a bit differentiates himself from all the other podcasts and stuff like that. So if you guys have any interesting names for what I should call it, definitely hit me up on Twitter, again, at 23 shots to JD. If you feel like maybe an interesting name or whatever. But yeah, sort of continuing, like I said, Asia Trip podcast every Tuesday, and then with the NBA podcast, how I usually do it, like today on a Wednesday for Australians, or I guess a Tuesday for Americans. I'm actually going to be shifting that completely to Australian Eastern Standard Time on a Saturday, and that'll be a Friday for the American listeners and I think UK listeners as well. Why am I doing that? I feel like it's giving a more holistic overview of the week. I feel like, you know, from basically the Saturday to basically from Saturday to Friday, I'm getting the whole holistic view of the NBA. I think it's a bit easier. I felt like in the first 2 weeks, especially doing it on the Wednesday, you sometimes miss a lot of stuff. Like, you know, last podcast I was discussing about Detroit Pistons, and then the next game, you know, Blake Griffin drops 51 points. Oh, sorry, not the next game. The next couple of hours, sorry, Blake Griffin drops 50 points. So it's like, you know, sometimes I feel like maybe the timing would be a bit better on a Saturday for myself, which would, again, you know, just think a day before for that. But yeah, I think the important thing is that there will be 2 podcasts coming up. I know I'm sort of repeating myself. I'm like sounding like a broken record, but I don't know how many Asian Diary podcast there will be. I'm hoping for over 10, if not more. That would be pretty cool. And I feel like if I do get a lot of people that I'm traveling with, maybe I bump into and stuff like that want to jump on the podcast, potentially that could be a whole different series in itself. But obviously I have to wait to see what type of you know, things I get, the type of content I get out of it. You know, who knows? But definitely the Asian trip's going to be really interesting. You guys definitely should be geared about that, because it'll be pretty, you know, again, interesting. I don't know how many people have really done this type of thing, going on a trip and actually sort of live. Like, I'm not going to be like live podcasting. I might be going on a hike, I'll be podcasting. I might be shopping at these counterfeit stores and podcasting, and you might hear me try and hustle these you know, these counterfeit stores, or maybe they're going to be hustling me. You know, I'm actually really, really excited about this. And then on top of that, you know, meeting just some great and some new people. Maybe they have interesting stories of themselves as well. Like, I know there's a lot of hostels around where I'm going to be staying, that sort of incubators, some tech incubators. So maybe I'll jump by there and talk to some people or whatnot. But you know, again, I'll see how it goes. But obviously, if you're just here sort of for the NBA talk and stuff like that, definitely going to keep on continuing. Saturday, there'll hopefully be one Saturday, because hopefully I'll be able to situate myself somewhere in Asia, hopefully with a stable internet connection. I can, you know, record something and stuff like that. But as well, I'm not sure how good the quality of the podcast is going to be, because I am switching up my setup, obviously just to be a bit more mobile and sort of easier to travel with and stuff like that. So I don't know how damaging that's going to be to the audio quality, but from what I've seen, I don't think it's going to do anything at all. If anything, it might... Oh, excuse me. Jeez, I just had some Pepsi. Gives you the hiccups. But obviously, I just... yeah, like I said, I'm changing up the setup, so what I've tested doesn't seem to really change that much. Even it's, to me, actually, it sounds a bit more clearer sometimes. So, yeah, you know, I guess complete... interesting. Jesus. Okay, see, Jesus. Yeah, so interesting. Again, just sort of reiterating what I've said. You guys are probably annoyed. You're like, fuck, this dude's 9 minutes into a podcast and he's been talking about announcements. But like I said, Asia trip, hopefully post those on Tuesday. NBA podcast will be coming on your Saturdays. And again, frequency unknown right now, but I try and keep you guys updated. That cool? Is that cool? If you guys have any other questions or want me to address it even more, You can find me on Twitter at 23 shots with JD, and I can probably answer your questions and stuff like that. But yeah, I sort of go straight into it. Talking about Asia. Jeez, the shittest segue. Talking about Asia, China Clay Thompson. I have a great affinity for China Clay. The man's repping Anta. He's repping the Asian boys. You know how it is, and he's killing the game. The guy was like 39% from the field prior to his last game. He hit only 5 threes. Think about it, he only hit 5 threes. Lonzo Ball has hit more threes than him. That's how bad Klay Thompson was going. And Klay Thompson shoots at a high clip, and I think I'll sort of get to what happened to him, but obviously there was a lot of questions surrounding him, saying like, is he gonna leave? Is he gonna go to the Lakers? What's gonna happen with him? And I don't know if that type of drama or that type of attention around him, because he's not a guy that likes the attention. He's not really that guy to really shine that type of light on himself. The man was piping Abigail Ratchford, and it was like, you know what? I just want a wholesome chick. This is who my man Klay Thompson is. This is who my man's is. So respect to my man's Klay Thompson. But yeah, before that, I don't know if all that drama circling around him potentially leaving the Golden State Warriors to the Lakers was maybe playing in his head. I really doubt it. I think he was just in a shooting slump. But nonetheless, he comes into the game against the Chicago Bulls and just slaps them. Just one-handed, backhand slaps them. Takes off his gloves and slaps them and challenges them to a duel. And they win the duel, sorry. The Golden State Warriors win the... Not the Golden State Warriors win the duel. Klay Thompson wins the duel. He wins everything. He won everything. Drops 51 points. Drops a record 14 threes. Drops a record 24 3 attempts. 24 shot 3-point attempts. That's a better way to phrase it, actually. But the guy just came in and just became an animal. And this is 2 days, not 2 days, 2 games after Steph Curry was about to break the record. I think he had 11 threes or something, maybe 12 threes. I'm not entirely sure, against the Washington Wizards, where he was absolutely disrespectful. So for Klay Thompson to come in there, drop 14 threes, break the record, let it be known that now he holds the record. He beats Steph Curry, his own teammate who held the previous record. It's just fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. It's good to see Klay bounce back, because again, he's sort of been maligned as this guy that could be leaving, and then all these sort of circumstances surrounding him as well. So, it's good to see Klay play well. Klay play really, really well, and I think that 3-point shooting is something that the Lakers would really like. I think the Lakers would really like that 3-point shooting. They are struggling. Actually, last couple of games they haven't really been struggling, but they don't have that bona fide guy that just you kick out and he's gonna pop. You see a lot of hesitation with them. They kick out to Rondo. Rondo doesn't want to shoot the 3. They kick out to Lonzo. He's heading to shoot the 3, and then when he shoots it, it sort of clanks off because he didn't just get into rhythm. Josh Hart, he's a pretty decent 3-point shooter. Brandon Ingram's been pretty good. Kyle Kuzma is okay as well, but you want that guy that you kick it out and he's going to shoot. Again, Brandon Ingram sometimes is a bit hesitant to shoot because he knows he can drive into the lane, use his go-go gadget arms that he punched Chris Paul with to just lay it up in the rim. And then you have Kuzma. Kuzma's never shy to shoot. He's definitely not shy. And Josh Hart, he's not, I wouldn't say he's shy, but he's very particular about his shots, I think. He's very particular, so... I think Klay Thompson would be really, really valuable for them, but, I don't think Golden State Warriors are going to really, really want to let Klay go. But, they got to figure out how to give him money somehow. So, I guess sort of talking to the Lakers, I think we can transition fully into the Lakers, and it seems like this podcast, especially the NBA podcast, is just going to continually have the Lakers mentioned. But it'll be hard not to mention the Lakers at all throughout the season because of how sort of dominating they are. Obviously, with LeBron James going there, the franchise itself, Magic Johnson, Rob Pelinka, Kobe Bryant was at the game, the Denver Nuggets game. Just so many interlinking storylines that relate to the Lakers, hence why they always need to be, sort of mentioned. But, the Los Angeles Lakers, I'm not entirely entirely sure they beat the Denver Nuggets when I recorded it. But I'll talk about the Denver Nuggets anyway quickly. Obviously, they beat the Denver Nuggets. Lonzo Ball, filthy step back three. Lance make him dance. You know how it is. And then, then after that, they start losing again. And, they have had a pretty tough schedule. They've only played one non-playoff team. They played a lot of Western Conference playoff teams. So they haven't been able to get sort of a lot of freebies, you can say, like they got with the Phoenix Suns, and that's sort of how you can boost and sort of get that confidence. So, it's a bit hard for them, again, a new team going against these, really, really hard playoff teams to try and, deliver, I guess. But, obviously they lost to the San Antonio Spurs and they lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I think that's sort of a Rose question again, when Lonzo had that great game against the Denver Nuggets, will Rondo sort of get back in the starting lineup or not? And it seems, I think Rondo, as we've sort of seen through the last two games, doesn't care if he's starting or he's on the bench because he's putting up some decent numbers. He's always going to get his assists. He's always getting his little cheeky layups, and he's pretty good for 1 or 2 threes a game as well. So he's not doing completely bad off the bench. But I think, Lonzo has sort of not taken a back seat, but it's sort of, he hasn't been playing as well as you hope, or sort of bounced back as you hope from, his Denver Nuggets game. Like, he's had some pretty poor games against both the San Antonio Spurs and Minnesota Timberwolves, and he's sort of, again, we're seeing this sort of passive Lonzo that we've seen before. And obviously, when you have LeBron James, he's a very dominant figure. You see Kyle Kuzma, he loves to score. Brandon Ingram, he loves to score. And then you just see, even Josh Hart, he's sort of not hesitant, but like he sort of, he's not really in score first mindset, and neither is Lonzo. And I feel like it's hard to really judge Lonzo because defensively he's good, probably even more than good, maybe really good. But it's just offensively you sort of want more for him, but then you forget that he's not really an offensive guy. Like, that's not his game. He's about assist, and not even like Rondo assist where he's like dictating the play. It's more Lonzo seeing an opportunity and taking seize of it as soon as possible, So he's sort of just someone that just flows in the run of the game, and I guess for him, trying to manufacture force onto himself some offense is probably not the most effective way to go. And I guess it's still early days. They're what, 2 and 5 or whatever it is. So there's still time to get better and stuff like that. But I think, it'll be concerning if throughout the games, maybe after 15 games or something like that, there's still just sort of this, this sort of struggle happening from Lonzo. But, the team, again, like, the thing is, like, we can't even, like, hate on the Lakers still because the Lakers just have competitive, all their games are super competitive, except for the Phoenix Suns. They just lost to obviously if you look at the box score, it's going to say they beat them by like 9 points, but it was a really close game with the Portland Trailblazers, really close game with the San Antonio Spurs. It was a really close game with the Denver Nuggets, and they were able to get on top of that. Really close game against the San Antonio Spurs again, and then a really close game against the Minnesota Timberwolves, where just Jimmy Butler's greatness just slapped them in the face. So, it's unfortunate. Like, the Lakers, they're playing hard, they're keeping themselves competitive, and obviously their lack of defense, which, no one's really talking about this. The Cavs were the worst defense. Now the Lakers are the worst defense. Common denominator is LeBron James. Does he not play defense? I've seen him just not close out. This guy doesn't like to close out. He just stands hoping for the rebound. Like, man, just close out. Do something, bro. Like, do something on defense. I know everyone's going to be like, but he's dropping 30 points, 10 rebounds, 10... No, I don't care. Defend. Everyone else on the team's trying to defend. And you're not even closing out on the shooters. That's why every team just destroying threes on the Lakers, because the man doesn't close out. And obviously, even if he tries to close out and they still make it, at least you try to put that pressure on them to, force them off the 3-point line. Come on, LeBron. We need you. I'm saying we, like saying I'm a Lakers fan. I'm a Lonzo fan. That's why I'll say I'm a Lakers fan. I'm a Lonzo fan. But we need you, LeBron. We need you to drive him off the 3-point line. Just please. So, again, we'll see. Again, next, geez, that should be be a bit of a while. So the next podcast, what, like 10 days maybe? So we'll see in 10 days how many games is that? 3-4 games potentially. I don't know what the Lakers schedule is like, but potentially 3 to 4 games. We'll see where they are. Maybe they're back on an even record, or maybe they got even worse. But I guess sort of transitioning from the Lakers and talking about a team that's actually beat the Lakers twice, quite closely, I'll add, is the San Antonio Spurs. And the San Antonio Spurs have had a lot of close games, but they've been able to, get ahead in those close games. As I mentioned, the 2 Lakers games and just more recently, the Dallas Mavericks game. So, San Antonio, obviously, if you heard my preseason breakdown of them, they were a team that, that's like, you expect what you expect from them. They're just a solid team under the system with Greg Popovich. They have pretty much the same plays except for the one glaring difference that is DeMar DeRozan for Kawhi Leonard. It pretty much is the same team. And I think the biggest question in whether they're going to be a playoff team and be a perennial contender within the West, especially this year, is sort of how DeMar DeRozan was going to develop. And if we ever had questions about DeMar DeRozan, we don't have questions now because this guy is legit. This guy is an animal. Because not only can he shoot well, not only can he score well, he can pass well, and he closes ridiculously well. This guy is a closer. And he even said that in an interview as well. He said, I'm here to be the closer. Greg Popovich told me I am the closer. And as we've seen in the 2 Lakers games, the Dallas Mavericks games, just a lot of games with him, he just takes charge and he takes advantage, and he knows that this is his team. It is his team, and I think, it's weird because you probably look at his stats and you're like, you know what, it's barely better than the Toronto Raptors, but it's just like, it feels like there's this renewed sense within DeMar DeRozan that's just like, this guy's just a stud again. Like, he just feels like a different player. I don't know if that's just coming from me, and maybe it's just type of placebo mirage effect, I guess, that I'm feeling that maybe because he's on the San Antonio Spurs, it's like, oh, this guy's a different player, whatever. But DeMar DeRozan's playing well. He's playing really, really well, and people questioning if he was even going to be able to be an All-Star in the West. This guy's guaranteed to be an All-Star in the West. And if he's not even like in the starting team, I would be surprised, man. This guy's a stud. This guy's an absolute stud. Again, sort of more talking about the San Antonio Spurs. It looks like the way that it seems like they sorry, I'm sort of losing track. It seemed that sort of the past couple of years, especially when LaMarcus Aldridge came to the team, that there was sort of that conflict where LaMarcus thought it was his team, he thought he was the man, and then obviously Kawhi just had that superstar rise, and then he was the man, and LaMarcus Aldridge still thought it was the man, so it was like these 2 battling guys that were the man, and one was effective playing with the other, and one wasn't. And I don't know if that's Kawhi or whatever, but it seems like now that hasn't affected LaMarcus Aldridge as much, and I don't know if that's him sort of understanding that he's not the main player anymore, or if it's just him maybe maturing, or maybe it's just a better fit with DeMar DeRozan. But it seems that LaMarcus Aldridge is playing a lot better now. He's being a lot more effective. Obviously, when we saw in the Lakers game where he just bullied everyone in the middle, he's playing well. It's just good to see LaMarcus Aldridge sort of reach back to where he was. Even though he wasn't All-Star last year, I think. So it sounds like he didn't drop off, but it just seems like he's sort of playing a lot better now. In my opinion, I feel like the San Antonio Spurs, through DeMar DeRozan, just doing what Spurs do, man. They're just doing what they usually do. But talking about the team they defeated recently in the Dallas Mavericks, obviously in a defeat, it's hard to sort of be super positive about it. But Luka Doncic still dropped 31 points, and I wrote down Luka Doncic's an animal. And I don't know how to really explain it, man. The guy is a god. This guy is legit. And it's good to see a European guy come into the NBA and daddy some of these fucking American guys that's just like, because there's always this stigma, obviously as myself as an international, I guess, in regards to NBA, as an international spectator, and, people sort of clowning on the Aussies sometimes, or, stuff like that. It's good to see an international guy come in and then just slap them. Obviously there's Giannis, obviously there's Simmons and Embiid, and now just Doncic, man. And everyone was shitting on Doncic. And I'm gonna be maybe a bit explicit here, because I hate when people shit on Doncic. They're like, oh, he was looking a bit tubby, and he was looking a bit tubby in the preseason. You know, he had a bit flabby arms. Man, my guy could be fat for all I care. He could be obese, and he will still daddy all these guys on the 3-point line. This guy's a sniper. He's a sniper. He's a more mobile. He's a more mobile Nikola Jokic. Think about it. He's like Nikola Jokic. They're about the same size as well, like 6'9", 6'10". Except he can move. He can mobile. He can dribble the ball. He can drive into the lane. So everyone that's sort of on Nikola Jokic's dick right now, don't forget, Luka Doncic is him, but in a guard like position, and like 3 or 4 years younger. 3 or 4 years younger. Let's not forget that. Let us not forget that. So, you know, Luka Doncic, man, he's really become the focal point of the Dallas Mavericks offense. I don't know what he's averaging now. I could really, I'm not going to look it up, obviously, because I'm not that type of stats guy, but I think he's a front runner for the NBA Rookie of the Year. Obviously, DeAndre Ayton's been putting up some monster numbers as well. We shouldn't really forget about that. And Jaren Jackson's been playing well. I haven't really looked at Marvin Bagley because the Sacramento Kings are a non-factor really for me at all. So who cares about the Sacramento Kings? Trae Young, obviously, he had that really, really big game. And he actually beat Luka Doncic when the Hawks beat the Mavericks. So I guess maybe you could say Trae Young has one up on Doncic. But, you know, Trae Young's been sort of up and down. Even in that game against Doncic, he was like, 1 for 8 before the fourth quarter or something like that. So he's really on and off, but obviously he had that record-setting game where he dropped over 30 points and 10 assists, which, you know, really hadn't been done since, who was it, LeBron James and someone else. So, you know, he's playing, again, it's sort of these rookie rows, and, you know, you shouldn't take much stock in these rookies yet. Obviously, he's really young in the season. We'll see how they mature and stuff like that. But that being said, if you want to take one person to note, that Luka Doncic is an animal, and he's just an animal. An animal. God, he's just a beast. He's just a beast. I guess talking about another beast, Zach LaVine's a beast. He's playing well. He's trying to prove something. I don't know why this man's angry. He's always angry, man. He's always angry. Even when he got drafted by the Minnesota Timberwolves, he was angry. This guy's professionally angry. Yes, I said that. Yes, he is a professional angry guy. Professionally angry. But I think that anger is really driving him, because the guy, well, he had like 5 30-point games or something like that. The same as, you know, the only ever person to do that for the Chicago Bulls was Michael Jordan. And my man's looking like Michael Jordan. He's driving to the lane, finishing some acrobatic layups. He's dunking. He's shooting from the 3. He's fade away. His offensive repertoire is just ridiculous. And, you know, it seems like now he's looking that he's underpaid. Obviously, coming off an ACL injury, 4 years, $80 million. You're Zach LaVine, you know, you don't know if you could get injured again. You might as well take it. But, mate, the Bulls really got sort of a steal here. They really, really got a steal. Considering that the other person that sort of got signed for 4 years, $80 million, and Aaron Gordon is probably not playing nearly as well as Zach LaVine. So, you know, if you're the Chicago Bulls, you should be very, very stoked with sort of the situation you're in right now. But you know, the Bulls overall looking good, but I just want to mention Zach LaVine again, because he's just an animal, and he was always sort of he was my favorite Timberwolves. I think the Timberwolves, it's ironic now how the Timberwolves are just like, you know, they want to get a starting shooting guard if they let go of Jimmy Butler, even though now they let go of a 30-point per game shooting guard. You know, how you going there, mate? How you going there, Tibbs? Hey, Tibbs, if you listen to this, mate, how you going? Because you done fucked up, man. You done fucked up. Because Zach LaVine's a beast. Zach LaVine is a beast. And I think, again, you know, I guess I sort of already alluded to it earlier, you know, the whole Jimmy Butler situation in Minnesota. Obviously, you know, there was some other news surrounding him before that, but I will mention what he was able to do in the Lakers game. I watched the whole Lakers game, start to finish, and Jimmy Butler just just couldn't miss. He just couldn't miss. I don't know if it was on one, if it was, in his bag. He might have been feeling himself a little bit. You know how he is sometimes. But he's just like. It's hard to it's disappointing because like he talks about leadership and all this stuff, and he sort of not divided locker room. He's just sort of shat on the locker room. He's sort of hated on all his players, obviously before the season stopped. And it's like he plays so well. He's carried the team. The guy literally went from getting booed at the first game to getting MVP chance in the same game. But like he still just doesn't want to be part of your franchise. Like how do you feel about being a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, knowing that this guy at least he's carrying you to win, so you're still getting that on your record or whatever. But it's just like, this guy's so good, and he sort of, what he's done mentally to Cat. I don't know what he did to Karl-Anthony Towns. Maybe destroyed his psyche or whatever. But like the guy just like prior to the Lakers game, he just sucked. He couldn't play with Jimmy Butler. And then as soon as Jimmy Butler gets rested or he was injured for the game or whatever, he drops like 30-something points. So it's like, I don't know if he's sulking. And if he is sulking, Cat, grow the fuck up, bro. Grow the fuck up, dude. You got like a 5-year, $150-something million contract. I don't know what you get. You're getting paid big, and obviously money isn't everything. Materialistic ideals is something that you shouldn't really follow and base your life on. I get that, man. I get that. But you're in a stable position, you're comfortable right now, and you're sulking about this guy trying to get the best out of you. And even though I myself might disagree with Jimmy Butler and how he approached it, what the underlying thing that he was trying to do was to motivate you, Karl-Anthony Towns. And you go out there and you just act like a little bitch. That's all I could say, man. You put you got fire in the Lakers game, man, but all the other flipping games, dude, you just did nothing. You're a baby. You shot a 3-point shot, you airballed it, and then you're asked to take yourself out of the game. You're getting paid this much. And again, it's not about money or anything like that, but this is how much they value you. This is how much the NBA values you, man. And for 2 years, consecutively, GMs picked you as the number one person to start a franchise with. And now you're not even on the list. You're not even in the top 3, dude. You're not even mentioned. And that's coming off an all-star appearance, and you're still not mentioned. I'm not trying to hate on you, dude. But don't whine. This is not a high school. This is not college. It's the NBA. And yeah, I don't know. Who knows? This could go to Karl-Anthony Towns and he might come at me. I don't care. I don't care if you come at me at Karl-Anthony Towns because you still a coward, man. You're still a coward. Grow up. I don't know what he said. Maybe he damaged you psychologically. I don't know. If you're that weak mentally that you can't take that type of motivation, then you shouldn't be playing in the NBA, man. You're so gifted. You're so skillful, but have some fire about you, dog. Come on, man. Jeez, I don't know why I'm getting so angry right now. It's just like you're so good, and it's just like God. Come on, Karl-Anthony Towns. You know I'm just hating it. You know I'm just angry because I love you. You know that. Like the Eminem song at the end. It's like, I'm just playing Diddy. I'm not really playing. I'm just saying, like, fucking grab your balls, man, and get out there, and maybe not attempt 5 threes a game. I don't mind you shooting threes. Obviously, you're prolific, but like, bang in the middle, son. Especially when they go small. Bang in the middle. LaMarcus Aldridge, bully ball them. Blake Griffin, bully ball them. Come on, Cat. Come on. Jeez, I gotta be here. But yeah, obviously Jimmy Butler had a was again circling the news again in the trade circle, and it wasn't the Miami Heat. It wasn't like the Clippers. It wasn't, who else was like Toronto was sort of miming in there. It was the Houston Rockets. And, geez, we could talk about the Houston Rockets as well. They've had a dismal start. Obviously, maybe not dismal start, but not a start as you expected. They've lost a lot of games that they really should have won. James Harden's sort of, he's doing all right. Chris Paul, he's doing all right. And then Melo, geez, man, Melo's really just lost it. He's really just lost it. But, I guess sort of going back on the trade, the Houston Rockets reportedly offered 4 first-round picks, and that's the first time anyone's offered 4 first-round picks since the Brooklyn Nets traded 4 first-round picks for Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce. So, you know, and the reason why they only submitted 4 first-round picks is because that's the max, and that's 4 first-round picks over 7 years. So, you know, is Jimmy Butler worth 4 first-round picks? Sorry, I don't know. I really don't know. I wouldn't say so personally, because you're giving away your future for the now. And even if you have Jimmy Butler, you have Chris Paul, Jimmy Butler, James Harden, Clint Capella, and let's just chuck in Melo as well in there. That could probably be the closing 5 for them if the trade happens. Does that beat the Warriors? Nah. The Warriors with DeMarcus Cousins? Definitely nah. You're not beating anyone. So why give away your future? Obviously, people are gonna be like, oh, you know, if they win, they're only one game away from winning. They're only one game away from making to the finals, and they would have beat the Cavs. Blah 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 blah. The Warriors have DeMarcus Cousins. They have Kevin Durant. They have Klay Thompson. They have Draymond Green. And they have Steph Curry. When Steph Curry dropped his insane score against the Washington Wizards, Kevin Durant had 30 plus points. The next game, or a couple games after, Kevin Durant drops 40-something on the New York Knicks. And then the next game after that, Klay Thompson drops 50. Drops 50. Alright, let that sit there for a minute, alright? Let that sit there for a minute. And you think Melo's gonna guard anyone? You think Clint Capella can handle DeMarcus Cousins? You think Chris Paul is able to defend Steph Curry? No one can defend Steph Curry. Kevin Durant, that's a good night, mate. That's a good night. And you think James Harden's getting past Klay Thompson? Lockdown D? And if he just got DeMarcus Cousins in the middle? And don't forget, I haven't even mentioned Draymond Green, Defensive Player of the Year. Come on, Rockets. Don't be fooling yourselves here. Don't give away your future. So, you know, 4 first-round picks. And not only that, the Timberwolves were audacious enough to want Eric Gordon and PJ Tucker as well. Just disintegrating the type of depth the Houston Rockets have. And will the Houston Rockets do it? I don't think so. I think that might have been a bit of a bluff by someone. Maybe Woj or Shams. Like, shout out to Shams, man. You know, we should shout out Shams. The guy's like 25 years old and he's killing the NBA reporting game. Respect to that guy. I love you, Shams. But, you know, the Houston Rockets, man. Just look what the Brooklyn Nets did. They're still scarred. And it'll be forever scarred. They're so scarred that Jay-Z left ownership. He's like, you know what? I don't want to be associated with this team. I'm leaving. You know? Like, the most exciting thing that's ever happened in the Barclays in the past couple of years was the Khabib Conor fight in the car park. I don't know, not even the car, but probably the loading dock, whatever you want to call it, mate. That's the only thing interesting happening at the Brooklyn Nets. Do you want that, Houston? Do you want an aging Chris Paul and an overpaid and aging Chris Paul? You have a Jimmy Butler on a new fat contract, but he's already in his 30s. You got James Harden, he'll probably still be killing the game. Shout out to James. You just played Clint Capella, and you still can't get past the Warriors. And people are gonna come out there and say, but Jordan, maybe Klay Thompson's going to leave, like you said, to the Lakers. Maybe Kevin Durant's going to leave to the New York Knicks. Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe, obviously, they can't resign DeMarcus Cousins. DeMarcus Cousins is only there for a 1-year rental. So maybe they can beat them next year. If we're talking about what ifs, then don't talk to me at all. I'm here about cold hard facts. I'm not here to talk about what is, because that could be directly applied to the Houston Rockets. What happened if Chris Paul injured his hamstring again? What happens if Jimmy Butler shits in the whole locker room again, and then no one in the Houston Rockets likes Jimmy Butler? Because it seems that Jimmy Butler likes drama. I'll admit that. Jimmy Butler likes to surround himself with drama. And we know how fiery Chris Paul is sometimes. We know how fiery Gerald Green can get sometimes. PJ Tucker sometimes. You know, so if you want to do that, Houston, man, you can do it. I wouldn't do it. Obviously, the Timberwolves are not dumb enough to, like, I don't know why I said that. I retract my previous statement. Obviously, the Timberwolves would do that. They got 4 first-round picks and potentially Eric Gordon. They get a shooting guard, a starting shooting guard. Wiggins can go back to a small forward position, and then you can leverage the first round picks for even more assets. You can try and get trade for other people. So it works out well for the Timberwolves, but Houston, really? And I guess probably their only moves are to do these type of interesting, elaborate, unorthodox trades. I get it. Your salary cap's fucked. It's fucked. But you want to end up like the Brooklyn Nets? Do you want to end up to the Brooklyn Nets? I'm a big proponent of history repeats itself. And what we've seen from the Brooklyn Nets will be repeated again. And if the Houston Rockets want to repeat that again, and they want to go into absolute oblivion for the next 4, 5, 6 years, then they can do it. They can do it. But if they believe in the roster they have, think about that. If people use the excuse like they nearly beat the Warriors, why can't they do that again with the same existing team they have? Oh wait, I know why. Because they got rid of Trevor Ariza. And Trevor Ariza was a focal part of the offense. They got rid of Ryan Anderson, who, let's be honest, didn't really do much. But, you know, it's just mentioned. They got Michael Carter Williams, who sucks. Michael Carter Williams. James Ennis, I love you, James Ennis, but man, have some more production. I'm an NBL fanboy in the NBA for you guys. You, Terrence Ferguson, man, people like that. I love you, James Ennis, but man, come on, step up your game so none of these rumors have to actually see the day of light. But yeah, jeez. So sucks for the close there. Probably the more heated podcast I've really done, but maybe it's just a lot of just emotion, man. I don't know. It seems that the NBA season is getting me a bit hyped. I'm getting a bit hyped. I'm getting a bit angry. I'm getting a bit passionate. Because the regular season's been really good. It's been really, really good. I know a lot of people sort of clown on the regular season, like, I don't need to watch till whenever, June or whatever, I don't need to watch till June when the NBA Finals are on, because it's going to be the Warriors and the Celtics or whatever. But, the regular season's been super, super interesting. It's been super, super great to watch. And if anyone hasn't caught up with the NBA, I'm not paid by the NBA. I wish I was, but I'm not paid by the NBA. I'm not paid by League Pass, ESPN, any of those guys. But definitely just catch some NBA games live. Just watch them in full, because it's really, really good to watch. And it's actually exciting, man. It's not boring at all. It is not boring at all. There's none of these massive especially when you're watching the good teams, and none of these big blowouts. Even though some teams have already started resting their players, like that would have sucked if you bought a ticket to the Toronto Bucks game, because obviously Giannis and Kawhi Leonard both didn't play, which is obviously unfortunate. But sometimes that stuff's gonna happen. But yeah. Obviously, if you didn't listen to the start of the podcast and you just listened halfway through, which would be a bit weird, I'll be honest, and somehow you got to the end. Obviously, I announced some things. I'm going to Asia for 6 weeks, coming up soon, really soon. I mean, a couple of days. So I'm looking to post some podcasts and just some great stuff when I'm in Asia. And that'll be on the Tuesday, Australian Eastern Standard Time. But, this podcast and the NBA podcast alike will continue. But it'll be having a new change date on Saturday, Australian Eastern Standard Time. So if you're American or UK, just think a couple hours, or let's just say a day before what I said, it will come up to you guys. But I should predicate that I don't know how consistent I'll be able to be. So don't get angry at me if I miss a week, maybe on the NBA podcast or something like that, just because of the situation I'm in currently. Like if I'm traveling, maybe I'm like in transit, maybe I'm on an airplane or on a bus or something midway through, So, we'll see what happens. Definitely excited, man. Obviously, if you want to contact me further, you can find me on Twitter at 23shotsofjd, or comparatively, you can email me at 23shotsofjd@gmail.com. Any questions, queries, things you want me to talk about, stuff like that. Just furthermore, definitely obviously check out all the Asia stuff. If you want to follow me on Instagram as well, because I might be posting some stuff whilst I'm in Asia as well, you can find all of those links below in the bio section of whatever podcast player you listen to, iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, anything like that as well. So yeah, definitely check that out. But like I said, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how the podcast progress, how the overall 23 Shots of JD show progresses in the next couple of weeks. But besides that,